Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 64. You can find links to all the videos and articles mentioned in this podcast on intergalacticherald.com. Look for News Recap 113. So just a quick summary of things I'll go over from the past week. One was the Crossroad presentation, where there were some announcements specifically about crew packs. There's also some changes to the Star-based game. There was some, it was announced as it was announced at the Crossroad presentation, but I didn't really make the significance until somebody mentioned later on about some of the changes to what was, I guess, called Sage 3D. A couple things on the Atlas Brew, and then finally, just kind of, I guess, 2 weeks in a row now, kind of just some of my thoughts on the state of Star Atlas in general. So before we get started, just want to mention two of the Star Atlas projects I'm working on. One is my merch store at intergalacticgear.com. I had a really hard week of work, business, and actually project having 2 more weeks. So I haven't been doing a lot, but it is actually soft launched. I do have one product for sale. I did a test with someone and everything seemed to go good with purchasing and shipping, and just got to test out some payment options. So anyway, but it's just a mug. It's very limited selection, but hey, that wasn't my goal. My goal was to actually get it created, which I have, and adding more products is actually a much more straightforward process. So anyway, so that's it. So again, please go to intergalacticgear.com. If you want to buy a mug with Star Atlas on it, please do. Otherwise, I do still have my merch survey, and I'd love to get more feedback as I start going back through some of the past survey results and looking to specific merchandise I can start creating for the store. The other one is I guess I keep calling it a non-guild guild. It's one of the Star Atlas DACs, so Distributed Autonomous Corporations. But really, it's a community for Star Atlas gamers. And again, I'll get into a little bit of just kind of things in the Discord later. But really looking at a place for solo Star Atlas gamers who don't want to join guilds, hence the non-guild guild. Also looking for a place for beginners to hang out, again, that aren't looking to join a guild, because if you want to join a guild, you should go join a guild. But again, if you don't think that's going to be your gameplay style, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com. And I'm in the process of, got an interest survey for things, and I'm actually doing some debates on maybe where to prioritize this in the future of my efforts. So anyways, enough about me and my Star Wars projects. I'll get into the content section. So again, people who have listened to this before know that I recorded this on the weekend, but it's the past week of things, usually not the previous Friday. So because of that, last Friday, so 2 Fridays ago, I think early in the morning, I can't remember. But anyways, it was in the past. Michael Wagner, who has kind of been on a travel around the world, or I'm not sure he went around the world, but he went to a lot of other countries. There was actually a Solana conference called Crossroads. I believe it was in Istanbul, so Turkey, I'm pretty sure. Can't remember my world geography, but I think those correlate. But anyways, Istanbul. I know that one for sure. Anyway, so he gave a presentation. I do have that linked into my weekly newsletter. It's coming out. They just had a kind of basically an hour or 8 plus 9 hours of content. So I time-stamped where to start that one up. So he went over a few different things. The biggest one, to me anyways, was talking about the crew packs. And so I think he talked about crew packs, a couple other videos. Anyways, best thing to do is just watch it, because a lot of it was videos that you can look at. And again, there's been different places and different things in my newsletter of other people that comment on that. So I'm not going too much into it, but I did want to talk about specifically crew packs, because that seemed, at least to me, the most interesting new thing. And we've been told about crew packs for quite a while now. So what was announced there, and then I think followed up by a Medium article. Yeah, pretty sure those relate. I don't remember. It's a week ago. I can't remember anything. Anyways, this is what I'm supposed to talk about because I wrote it down. Anyway, so crew packs. So the first thing is there will be different levels of packs. Forget, there's some colors, golds, no. I don't remember. Sorry. It's a week ago. But anyways, there's different levels. And then within those packs, I'm pretty sure it was 5 crew per pack. When you open it, so I guess we're using the kind of baseball card, Pokemon, Magic Gathering, physical card games. When you open it, you get to find out what's in it. And then it seems like it is a randomized set in addition to actual crew, but the level of the crew. So there'll be multiple levels of crew that kind of align with the levels of the ships. So a lot more detail. It's cool. Again, we know obviously collecting cards whether physical or now virtual, is definitely something people like to do. I admit I used to collect baseball cards way ago. I guess more recently collected comic books. Still get one comic book series. But anyways, I digress. Because I said before, I didn't really get into the whole core and collecting those covers. But anyways, the other really cool thing was the price points of what each pack level is going to cost. And I believe, I should have the link. I forgot what they were, but it seemed very reasonable. I want to say that the Platinum, which was the highest, because they did offer a pre-released limited availability. There'll never be any more, but just for some reason they just released 5,000 of those. And the Platinums were $10 a crew. Can't remember what the other two were now. Anyways, so that was the peak, and again the rarities there. So. But now we know price points. We still don't have a date when they'll be open for general release. The pre-release 5,000 not limited edition, but just limited number, sold out in less than 24 hours. So definitely interest from the community for that. Unfortunately, it's just something in your inventory doesn't do anything yet. So, but again, we're moving forward. And again, this is kind of out of sequence. The Atlas Brew did go over the article and talked more. So again, if you want to learn more about the crew packs, read the Medium article, listen to the Atlas Brew. Both of those are linked on my website for News Recap number 113. So the other thing that occurred in the community, I don't know. It was a long week. A lot of business, a lot of major work. So some of this stuff, just wrote it down last weekend and just don't remember. But anyways, there has been some star-based changes. The ones that were particularly interesting for me were the ones that seem to be related more to the small fleets. I think the Beyond the Horizon did a video and kind of called these things out, so I'll reference that one again if you could check my news recap. So there's changes to the SDU scanning. Now you can get more. So again, for smaller fleets, that's maybe one of the more likely things you'll be doing. They also, and again, since I haven't played Starbase yet, I'm not 100% sure I understand, but I think I get the logic. So if there wasn't enough food in the Starbase, you couldn't craft. If there's not enough toolkits, you can't upgrade the Starbase. So they decided on food, which is related to crafting, that if there's no food, like people aren't supplying the food, the crafting will still continue, but it'll be at a slower rate. So, and I think the benefit there is, again, if food's not always there and somebody's trying to craft something who's a small player and then there's no food, their crafting stops, which maybe was more, able to keep doing whatever goal they were trying to accomplish. So that seems reasonable. And then there was talk of this upcoming change. I guess there were some changes that occurred immediately and some will occur in a couple weeks. There'll be an export tax. So if you want to take your items out of Star-based and put them back into your wallet, hence maybe to go to the marketplace, there will be an export tax. So this was a mechanism to kind of hopefully disincentivize people from moving it between the different factions. And again, that's a whole another can of worms on why that's pros or cons, but definitely didn't seem to be something that will greatly impact small gamers because you just probably aren't exporting a lot. So the tax proportionally be less. So kind of the progressive tax? I don't remember. Real world taxes, supposed to, if you got a lot of money, you're supposed to pay more tax type of thing. But there was also talk that there might be eventually local markets that will stay within Starbase, so there'd be even less incentive to take your resources, either that you mined or your craft, outside of your faction's Starbases. So again, it does seem like the team is trying to respond to some of the different things that have been discussed and things like that, but those seem to be the ones that popped out to me, again, related to the concept of small gamers, or gamers with small fleets. So the other thing that Funcracker in his AFIA newsletter expanded upon, but I believe it was briefly mentioned at the Crossroads event by the CEO, was a retirement of Sage 3D, in the sense that idea is not going to be moved into the UE5 version of the game. Now, I'm still not sure I understand all of this, and part of it is like, we use the word Sage to mean something, but up till recently, there were actually 3 versions of Sage. There was Sage Labs version 1, Sage Labs version 2, and Sage 3D, I guess, which never really worked for me. So I'm not sure if Sage is the product or Sage 3D versus Sage 2D is thing. And then, so again, Wasn't very clear, but given kind of everything about product announcements and changes and everything, I'm not really putting too much stock into what that means, but it was kind of like, well, now we're going to be able to be in the Unreal Engine and zoom in and zoom out. And I'm like, okay, well, how's that relate to Sage? Are you talking about the economic? Again, I'm not sure. I guess I could have checked the roadmap to see if it was there, but given the fact it was an announcement, feels like it wasn't on the roadmap, or there was that secret thing on the roadmap. I'm not sure. Anyways, we'll see as things go down. But in the end of the day, this is just doesn't change anything. Nothing changes tomorrow. It's just more of which way they're going to focus their development. But it did again make me think that, again, as I've mentioned before, I had to buy a video card to get the showroom to work on my computer. I mean, I've played RTS games where you can zoom out and zoom in. So I'm like, okay, that's normal. I mean, I guess maybe zoom all the way down in your ship and turn into a crew member. Okay, that's kind of unique and different. But again, that assumes everything is in UE5. Now, as a product development strategy, sure, it makes sense to have less products, but seems like a browser-based game would make a lot of sense to expand the potential gaming audience, because again, browsers can work on mobile devices, they can work on tablets, they can work on computers. UE5, unless there's more to it, is basically a Windows computer. So, that's nothing wrong. There's tons of Windows PC games out there, but yeah, so I'm not really sure. But again, it was so brief. I wasn't sure. Funcracker put out more stuff in his newsletter, and I'm like, okay, that's sure. But again, it's like, well, bluntly, every other announcement of something. Okay, cool. Well, let's wait and see. Anyway, so that's just something, that was announced. The Atlas Brew did occur, and again, it was predominantly focused on the crew packs. So again, if you want more information there. One interesting slight change, and it doesn't really change anything, but they did mention that no longer we're going to do the ship conversions where we're going to send our ships somewhere and then out would come the shell, the components, and the crew. And now they say, well, it'll just be an airdrop of crew. But I don't recall if they said what's going to happen to your ship. So again, maybe this is easier, different. I don't know. But again, just a different way that things will be occurring. So anyway, so that was interesting. And that's kind of it for the stuff that was announced from the team. So again, the Crossroads events occurred, crew packs released, and some slight changes to Starbase. So to kind of wrap up this podcast, later in the week, I don't know if it was brought on by anything particular or this is just a continuation of kind of last week, but I guess I'm seeing patterns. And again, if anything, I guess I'll go back all the way till the end of last year where things were kind of put out, that we've got a lot of announcements, and that's great, and stuff happens, and that's cool. And I do not fault the team for releasing crew packs the way they did. And they were able to, I think somebody estimated $500,000 in a sale of that. So that's great. I mean, we'll get something for that someday. But that's it. It's a week later, and yeah, sure, there was talk of the Atlas Brew and the people on that. It was great to learn and get some subtle nuances to a few things. But again, what is it? I think they said end of second quarter. So if you call that the end of June, and now they're changing how they're distributing the crew, and okay, great. And at this point, all we're sure, or not even sure, but I guess we've been told that for sure you can use Crew 4 is in Starbase, which again doesn't doing, and our mobile app. I think they said the end of the year, which seemed like you needed a crew to do that. So again, there's this pattern, and it's just a pattern of announcements and then nothing, and we move on. Now, I've heard some interesting things in the Foundation Room, but of course can't talk about that. So okay, so what can I talk about? Well, I was kind of thinking more and more, kind of just, again, I'm calling it the state of Star Atlas. And there's definitely less content creators. I mean, I'm really appreciative of the ones that are doing things, call out the consistency of Beyond the Horizon and Metaverse Explorers and Metaverse Nomads, and Funcracker, who's producing the newsletter, because pretty much where the bulk of the links come from. But that's it. And in months and years past, there were other people. Now, maybe life situations changed or whatever, but, other than Beyond the Horizon, actually, the other three have been there from the beginning. So we've only added one new person into that mix that produces content on a regular basis. And I guess I should, just as a quick aside, mention, I am aware that there are other language creators in the Star Atlas community, since it is a global community. I'm not discounting their work, but it's just not accessible to me. And that's, again, just because it's a language issue. I just can't, and I'm sure maybe potentially vice versa. So, again, not trying to dismiss other other language content creators. It's just, again, I can't read it, so or can't listen to it. So, but definitely I have felt too that the Discord, Star Atlas Discord, anyways, feels less engaging. Now, again, there's things in the Foundation room I can't get into, and other things, but I guess as a measure of me, I'm very thankful that I'm on one of the lists that if a new player comes in and somebody wants to look for a guide, my website comes up. And I'm very thankful for whoever instituted that. That's great. I really appreciate the promotion. But I also track my statistics on the website, and not a lot of people are going to my website. So that kind of makes me think not a lot of people are in the Discord. So again, I don't have the hard numbers for Discord things, but there. The other thing was the community projects that have been out there, and that does feel also gone a lot of quiet. People that were doing the physical products, some of them have disappeared. Some of the bigger projects are still doing some things, but not hearing a lot about them, or they're come and go. So again, it just feels like it's a little. But one thing that I did want to bring up specifically was people are saying, well, small gamers are leaving because the game's not interesting, and I'm like, okay, fair point, but is it the community or is it the gameplay? And I would say that I think, and again, I've been saying this for a long time, I want something to engage with. I want a game to play. And I'm hoping finally, cross my fingers, tomorrow to actually get back into Starbase and just see if and again, I don't even know I'm not a whale, but I have more than one ship. So, how that kind of fits in there, because I'm still intrigued by it. Oh, but I am also pragmatic that I think it's all about automation, which I'm interested in also exploring. But if you take away Starbase, there's nothing else. So what would a small gamer do? Again, let's just say that's a few ships, because that's all there is. Again, you can't do anything with your crew. You can't do anything with a lot of the things you can, I guess. And again, months ago, Metaverse Explorer mentioned again how there were like 3 components or 3 games. It was the browser game, the Unreal Engine game, and the marketplace game. And sure, obviously a small person can sell and trade in the marketplace, but again, if you're not trading or selling a lot, your margins are probably pretty low, so it may not be that engaging. And now the Starbase, I guess, is still going to be around for a while. Again, back to the Sage 3D thing, I'm not sure. And we know on Unreal Engine, the showroom, after they took away Surge, it's pretty much the same it's always been. There's some things in there, and you could, but I'm still waiting to try out my new video card, because there's just, okay, I could go do this, but there's no multiplayer. There's no, again, a few podcasts back, I mentioned that I thought Surge was great, and very disappointed that it isn't a thing anymore. So, but basically, all this, I guess I want to wrap up in saying that I'm not sure this is negative, because I don't feel negative, but I do feel kind of like all we're doing is waiting. And it again, in our society today with stimuli that exist, quick dopamine or whatever thing hits we get from social media, sporting events, whatever, live events, whatever, politics, whatever you want to get, they all are doing something. They're capturing our attention. They're engaging us. And again, if we just stay within gaming, you play a game and you play as long as you want, depending on the style. I kind of do feel like our state right now is in the Star Atlas is just, we're waiting. And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, the team is definitely building things. We see them. Some great videos were shown at the Crossroads event. We've seen videos before. I think they're being very strategic about bringing new people on to help in specific things. But I think, and I'm pretty sure I've said this before, and that obviously the reduction in staff. Oh, that was it, staff. So at the Atlas Brew, they mentioned a very interesting small point was Never Alone campaign, which again was a great engaging thing. At first I thought, this is just cheesy, but I have to admit, I did it. And it was kind of fun. Scavenger hunt, do this thing, whatever. It was mentioned at the Atlas Brew that originally the team, again, whatever they said, was 17 people. Now, I'm not sure how to put that in context. That wasn't mentioned titles, but it says, well, now we're only 4. And I think what they were referring to was what I guess I'll just refer to as a community team, which is Santa Dom, Jose, and I think Darwin. Now, again, wasn't stated. I'm just kind of putting pieces together. So they're members that are in this Star Atlas Discord doing different things, showing up to Atlas Brews, public PR or outreach type of thing. 17 compared to 4 is a big difference. And so I think it kind of speaks to things I've been noticing when I do check the Star Atlas Discord and you go to the Never Alone campaign. People are saying, well, what's happening? What's happening next? Whatever. And it did sound like, from at least what they mentioned, the Atlas Brew, they are going to wind down the Never Alone campaign. They didn't go into specifics, but that was spoken. Hey, we're going to wind it down. But again, it got me thinking, and this goes back to what I was just saying before I remembered that, was again about the reduced staffing. Well, that was just in, we'll call it, I don't know, communications, marketing. I don't know. I don't know what department went from 7 or what group or whatever team. But yeah, that's a big drop. I mean, can't do my math off the top of my head, but 75%, which actually now you think about it, they said they write off 75%. So maybe it was kind of across the board. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That was in the past. But I do think it does show how the reduced staffing is definitely factoring into what I'll call this waiting state, that again, it is just taking so much longer to release. And then a standard project management is the longer something takes, more likely there'll be scope creep, there'll be changes. We're in technology changes. It sounds like part of the reason the Sage 3D was retired was the technology. Something called Play Canvas is just either hard or they can't find people, where it's much easier to get UE5 developers. So again, all makes perfect sense, but again, things might have been different if there were more team and move forward. So I think to wrap this up, that I'm still very interested in the vision that is spoken about Star Atlas. I think it's great. The past products that have been came out, I mean, even in the end, Score, Faction, Fleet, it was fine, worked, did something. I mean, I'm still claiming resources and refilling every day. And it's not it's not fun, but it's not something I'm still, I guess, slightly enjoying doing. It's some way to engage with my ships, I guess, at the end of the day. So, but regardless of the vision or past products, it doesn't compare to any other games currently available. And I did catch myself going, well, I have all these games in my backlog. I think also Steam was running a sale and they said, hey, this game you put on your wish list is 50% off. And I was like, I could just go buy that and play that. And anyways, I guess I'm trying to go back to, why are, quote, small gamers leaving? I would just posit that there's other things to do with your time, like go play a new video game, play an old video game. I mean, again, if you're just a gamer, if you're not a crypto person, you're not into investing, whatever. If you're a gamer, you want to play games. And there's really no Star Atlas game right now. I mean, bluntly, there really isn't. So there are other cool things, new game releases, old games, old favorites, whatever, So again, if we're just talking about gamers. So I think going forward, as we're in this waiting period until, there can be some attention, eyeballs, to use the marketing term, can be sustained, where people are like, hey, there's this, there's that, there's whatever. Star Atlas is going to be in this awaiting period because we need something to create that continual engagement. And again, not trying to fault that the gameplay style or the mechanics or the economy or whatever Starbase is wrong, and it could be a stepping stone for more, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with developing, because again, the team has been very open. This is pre-release, this is building in public. But I think, again, putting all these things together, yeah, it is kind of, well, there's only so many, maybe we'll call them diehards, I don't know, that are sticking around. So having said all that, I want to try to leave on a positive note. Not that I think there's anything wrong, but it does feel like the team is really focused on this public version of the showroom that they've been talking about. I forget which release number, but it seems like it's the racing one. Seems like it had the meta-gravity support. You haven't heard a lot about recently, but again, just because why would they if they don't have something to announce yet? But we have heard on different Atlas Brews, that they're really they will be focusing on marketing that. They will have an onboarding experience. So again, all the things that sound like, oh yeah, duh. But I think again, the key is to realize that they know they've spoken. Those are the things they want to accomplish. Well, why aren't they doing it now? Well, because they don't want to accomplish that now. That's not their goal. And yes, we're not privy to everything. Definitely, you get a lot if you're in the foundation room, but even then, they're not everything that's been spoken. Because why would it? I don't care if they are building public. They're not going to share everything. So I think, that is the thing to start looking forward to more than I think anything else really, because if it's focused on the public, then we can look to be done with this waiting period, because bluntly, if that thing is no different than anything else they release, then it will flash in the pan and people will leave. So I don't believe that's what they're doing. I don't know for sure, but again, everything I've ever read and heard, they do have a vision, and it's a very complete. Well, look at the roadmap. There is no way you're going to accomplish all of that if you don't build and iterate on something that keeps growing your player base, customer base, whatever you want to call it. So anyways, hopefully, again, to me, the waiting period or the waiting time that we're in is really just before we get something out there that really is focused on not the diehards, but things to bring people in. And then that should reunite the community, reunite, obviously, the interest in the game, and cause that positive feedback loop. So I'm going to just wrap it up there because that was rambling. But, that's all I thought about this week. So anyway, so to wrap this up, thanks again for listening. If you'd like to be a guest on this, definitely still looking to do that. So community members, builders that are still left, IP builders, and obviously I'd love to talk to any of the team, though again, I'll be focused on beginner topics. I'm not into the cutting edge, newest thing or what's the biggest debate, but what really can form content that would really be interesting to beginners, because I really enjoyed that content when I was first introduced to it, and be nice to refresh some of that, have a list of what those cool things were, but again, some of them were not really focused on that. And then lastly, just total self-promotion. Again, if you're interested in Star Atlas merch, love you to go to my merch store at intergalacticgear.com. Please fill out the merch survey. If you really want a coffee mug, please go ahead and buy that. I guess it's US only, and then again, I am trying to get a group of people together who are solo Star Atlas gamers, aren't looking to join a guild, but still want to hang out with some people and create our own community, our own platform that's more focused on that we all live busy lives. And so, you might not be able to chat, but you want to contribute. So asynchronous communication, get email alerts for things you're interested in, and, within that community, develop some different content and things like that. It will be paid, just be upfront about that. That's to offset the cost of the software and cost of me maintaining it and monitoring it. So anyway, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed this. If you didn't, that's okay. Hope you want to try the next one. Anyway, so again, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Hope you have a great week ahead.